Okay. I do love that theme. I mean, this right here is an indicator of Ramot's level at this point as well, right? Here it comes. So yeah, that's the thing, right? He's distracted. He's fighting the other battle. It's probably going to be a bit of this. Oh, beautiful. Yeah, I love the contrast there. She looks great. I mean, she looks beautiful. Ah, he spoke of that secret, right? Okay, gone. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. Yeah, it's an interesting choice to cut back and forth. Another great piece of music. It's great voice acting. Oh. Oh. Okay. This is, I touched up on this. She's not used to experiencing things like this. And this right here might be some of the most... Oh. His emotional intelligence is quite incredible. Oh. Truly, she is thankful. My God, you're not fighting anyone for 20-ish days. A bit more than 20. The ecstasy of battle, eh, Rebel? Oh. I was about to say maybe a bit of a different reaction, but... Ooh. Look at that. Kind of like a sharp feedback. That's phenomenal voice acting. My God. Ugh. There it is, the feedback. It's painful almost. This is it. This is it. The history of the friendship. The power of friendship, perhaps. Whoa. Did he just rip? It looked like he ripped something out? I mean, blood gushed out. Yeah, he did something. Oh shit, it's an actual... right, Illumi the needle, man. Oh, it's an actual fit. Okay. Ooh, and this piece of music coming in now. Really quiet. Calm and controlled. Ooh. That's her, Ramon. Look at that. Don't do that. Just like that. That's the Ice Gold Killua. Right, crush the head. But damn, quick kill. I was kind of hoping there'd be at least a fight. You know, now that he's kind of come to. Oh, wow. Yeah, apology notes. And so are you. I mean, you just... Oh, yeah, there's quite a bit of blood. I mean, is he fine? Whoa, she actually lunged at him. This is quite the tonal shift. Gon's still not done atoning. That's a great shot. Maybe not to Gon. The hell is that? Yeah, self-harm. This is something she's used to doing, right? Whoa. This is how she found Bisky, didn't she? Imagine how useful that ability is, and that's probably the reason she's a part of this, right? Okay then. Ah. Yeah, that ability is going to come in handy soon enough out there. Ooh, is she from some kind of special lineage? Of course, that's the only thing that registered for her. I mean, Nov knows how she sees him, so he's kind of also playing along, kind of. Just like that, she's moved on back to Nov. 12? Blood type B, blood type A, but her blood's really special. It's a really interesting episode in terms of the flow of it. I just had one of the most monumental breakthroughs for one of the characters, Killua, and then... Kale, are you going to talk about it? Are you going to tell Gon? Ah, yeah. I mean, he's certainly in good spirits now, Killua. Interesting that he doesn't really want to talk about it or bring it up, though. Hey. Look at that smile. Ah, the black hearts. Their business? Chitu? Ah, their business. Okay, I see the smoke, so it's Nav and Moral. If I had a lighter right now. Right, they mentioned this, right? The Hunter Association accepted. Aw, do you have to see Chitu die as well? I mean, he could try Chapter 7 bankruptcy if he can land, though. Ooh. Look at those jabs. Yeah, he stings like a bee. Much faster. Oh, maybe not. Okay, episode 94, the liberation of Killua Zoldyck. The monumental breakthrough, the monumental moment of clarity, right? Yeah, it's really quite significant, right? It's essentially one of the most significant moments of this anime up until this point, and I'm pretty sure, right up till the end as well. This is just such a massive moment. I mean, before I get into it, first of all, incredibly proud of Killua, right? I felt that I've been there, step by step on this journey. And, that is the case. There's that really beautiful moment as Killua is actually kind of reliving, having these flashes of all the, the lovely moments, the beautiful moments, the fun moments that he's had with Gon, right? And, one of the most touching elements of that is that us, the audience, has been there. Right? It's not just a bunch of stuff that's flashing by and it's like, it doesn't mean much, it's just a collection of imagery. No. Every single thing that's being depicted there, and it's quite a bit. It's quite a bit as well. All of it, it's been there, or, us, the audience, has been there for that since day one, right? Since the first time they met each other at the Hunter exam. And, like I said, a massive collection of, memories, right? So, yeah, it kind of makes me think about the journey I've been on. And, 94 episodes in, it kind of makes sense, right? A lot of times I kind of lose track of, how long it's been in the series at this point. And all of these incredible moments have accumulated into something really quite special, right? The bonds, the special bonds at that between Killua and Gon. It's an interesting dynamic, as I've touched upon before, and as the anime has kind of depicted before, right? It's a really interesting approach from either end, Gon and Killua. But, ultimately, incredibly proud of Killua and just so incredibly happy for him, right? You see the moment he frees himself from the literal physical needle, right? Yes, that was a little bit surprising, of course. I didn't think there's going to be an actual block, right? Like a physical block on him. But, again, just because, he pulled out a physical manifestation of all of this doesn't mean that, it's just as simple as that, and that it's this needle that's always been his, psychological block, his mental block, right? Yes, sure, it serves a purpose, right? As kind of like a failsafe. But, I think Tagashi's done a brilliant job of kind of selling and establishing Killua's struggles, right? His internal psychological struggles, and him, trying to find a path for himself, a purpose, a genuine purpose in life since the first time I saw him, right? And since the first time he saw Gon and begins to kind of think about his own future. Gon has inspired Killua so much. And even if Gon doesn't really quite know it completely, he's played a definitive role in helping Killua, on his own journey, right? And this ultimate breakthrough. But of course, even though it is this incredible moment, incredible breakthrough, it doesn't mean that it's about to be smooth sailing from this point on. There's also that notion, that possibility, that concept of a false victory, because there's a strong possibility here that there's going to be a lot of challenges in the near future, on many different levels, be it, psychological challenges, physical challenges, challenging this friendship, or rather challenges in this friendship. Right now it's building up and it's been fantastic. I've been enjoying it quite a bit, but it's certainly like a foundational build-up aspect of this arc at the moment, right? You build tension, you release tension, you build tension again. And again, I have that incredible build-up to, finally kind of coming across Neferpito, them coming across Neferpito, and then, of course, Kite having his run-in, and then, again, the aftermath of that. And now it's been slowly building up, right? This is foundational stuff. But yeah, there's still quite a bit that's ahead of them, right? So it's an incredible moment. It truly is. But, I don't think it's about to be smooth sailing. Especially because, now they're really kind of getting into the Kite aspect of it, right? So much so that you have people like Moral and Nov, and perhaps, even... Actually, no, maybe not Netero, maybe not the chairman, because he's off trying to go, speak to an acquaintance. So let's see how that plays out. It's been a few episodes now, right? Or unless maybe they are in contact, and maybe he also kind of, talked about it, keeping a close eye on Gon and Killua, their, headspace or their mental state. And yeah, right now, both of them appear to be in good spirits. And this is their assessment as of this point. But again, right, I feel like no matter how rock solid they might seem, and how happy they might seem, right, and grounded they might seem, I feel like nothing can really prepare either one of them for Kite in that state, right? Kite, who's being held somewhere at this point. I mean, they've made it clear that they have Kite, right? He's not about to escape or anything. They've secured him, so they have complete control of this situation. And I like that approach, that they feel that the state that they found Kite in is perhaps a bit too much for them, so they kind of have to check it out, right? Yes, people like Shoot and Knuckle and Nov and Morel, they don't really have a connection to Kite, but they know at this point, or through Knuckle and Shoot as well, they know enough about Gon and Killua to know that, okay, maybe it's not the best idea, without actually putting in a bit of time and assessing them, right? Actually, Nov and Morel did come across Killua, right? All that time ago. I spoke of that episode, Kite against Neferpito and Killua escaping. So they did get an initial read on Killua, and then of course, like I said, they probably got input from Knuckle and Shoot as well. So yeah, that's on the horizon as well. I'm guessing maybe in the next two or so episodes. But yeah, there's much to get to. But I do have to say, I have a few issues in this episode. Perhaps, nothing of a major issue, but, there's a few issues. Now, again, this could be simply a preference thing, right? I'm not sure if these are issues for anyone else, but, these are issues for me. I guess maybe it was even noticeable in my reaction to it, to certain moments. Just, as a whole, perhaps the flow of it. And it's a bit of a bummer that I did feel these issues in such a major episode. Even though, essentially half of that episode is quite major, and the other half is, quite a tonal shift. And as you saw, perhaps this is one of the issues, right? As you saw, I wasn't the biggest fan of that tonal shift, or at least in this specific case. I don't mind a tonal shift, but I don't know. To me, it felt like it moved on rather quickly, right? Now, listen, I don't need anything to be dragged out, but I feel like it wasn't given enough time, actually. This is a big moment. Like I said, it's one of the most significant moments in the anime for any character. I mean, this is, in Killua Zoldyck's character arc, you have one of the best arcs in the anime, in my opinion, and I'm sure in many people's opinions. So, I don't know, I feel like the second half of the episode just felt like almost like a totally different episode altogether, Not a totally different show, but it certainly felt like it's picking up from a totally different episode. And the fact that, Killua doesn't even bring that up again. Now, I don't mind that. I'm not saying that's a bad choice or anything. It's an interesting choice, actually, right? And, it really is quite interesting to see how Killua is going to handle this from this point on as well, right? Given that he has this clarity at this point. He doesn't have that mental block anymore, right? Be it psychological, be it the physical needle itself as well. And of course, I'll speculate about the actual insertion of the needle itself. Was it at any point, during the anime itself, or was it, before the events of the anime? Because there is a possibility that Illumi did something in that final phase of the Hunter exam arc, right? Or, my initial thought, let's just kind of, get into it. My initial thought is that, okay, the needle's been there since an early age. So before the anime started, essentially. Perhaps, in his upbringing, in his training as an assassin, it was inserted. Again, it remains to be seen if it's just Illumi's idea altogether, just by himself, or if Silva and the higher ups know about it as well. Zeno, Silva, maybe the mom as well. I actually do feel that Silva knows about it, or he's known about it. And, I feel like retroactively, some of those lines of dialogue, some of the things that, Silva had to say to Killua and have him promise, they make a bit more sense as well now, right? There's this element of, okay, Silva might know about this needle, and he feels like, it's a good enough failsafe that ultimately he knows, right? No matter how much Killua struggles, this is going to kick in. And, sooner or later, it's going to cause him to, abandon his friends. Much like how Bisky presented that to Killua head on, straight on, right? And that was needed. That push, it certainly was needed, and Bisky knew it, right? But Silva, I feel like for that reason, right, he did this contrasting thing of, okay, promise me that you're never going to abandon your friends, right? But at the same time, knowing that, okay, there's a good chance he is going to abandon them, even if it isn't by choice, simply because of conditioning, programming, and, the physical failsafe, right? So to me, it's always kind of felt like Silva is really damn sure that this is going to happen, that he is going to come back sooner or later. So yeah, to me, it really feels like Silva knew about this. Hell, it's possible that he told Illumi to implement this, right? To implement his control, through needles and all of that. I've seen, different applications of it. His needle control, that is, right? He can become a shapeshifter using it on himself. Again, imbuing those needles with Nen, I suppose. Surely that's how he does it, right? And then, I've seen, I've seen him control others, right? I've seen him control multiple people, a full round table of Dawns and higher ups. And of course, for some, it's lethal. In other situations, in Killua's situation, it's much more controlled, right? For a really specific purpose. But I feel like, even though the actual needle might have been inserted before the anime itself, before the first appearance of Killua in the anime, I feel like in that final phase of the Hunter exam arc, the face off him and Illumi, and that's the first time I really kind of get to see Killua just go into this, state of intense anxiety rather, and panic and fear, all of that. There's those moments of Illumi kind of putting out his hand, right? I've seen that on a few occasions now. Hell, he even tried doing something to Gon, and Gon just, through instincts, kind of just jumped out of it, jumped back, right? Because he knew, there's some, bad juju here. He just felt it. He didn't know exactly that it's Nen or something, but he knew he has to get back at that point. So there's a possibility that, at that point, maybe upon finding out that, okay, Killua appears to have made a friend, or he thinks that he's got a friend, and he's beginning to care about this person, it's possible that he, and by he, I mean Illumi, might have tried to kind of rejig some of the, I don't know, control elements of it, or the hypnosis elements of it. The manipulation, because at one point he's saying really specific things, almost kind of like a bullet point of things that are being hit, right? Almost kind of like rules. You must not do this, or you're not capable of doing this. All of this is kind of playing out. And then, of course, I know how it all plays out after that. Killua ends up kind of throwing his challenge so he can be eliminated. And like I mentioned a little bit earlier, of course, I was surprised to see an actual mental block, a physical mental block in that needle, right? But I don't think it cheapens the breakthrough, really, because I feel like Togashi's done such a brilliant job in this arc, in this character arc, and really thoroughly setting it all up and exploring in quite a bit of detail through a lot of really interesting plot elements and events throughout these arcs. All of these experiences that Killua's had since the beginning of this anime, right? All the growth, the bonds that he's developed, the one with Gon specifically as well. All of it ended up assisting him in doing something he could not do before, something he could not overcome before. It's all through these experiences and connections that he is able to do this at this point, ultimately overcoming all of it and, winning out the psychological battle allowed him to do the impossible, right? The nearly impossible. And that is to, have such clarity at that point that he's able to pinpoint the exact location of that needle. He reaches in, right? In a lightning quick move, of course, he reaches in and pulls it right out. And of course, they've shown me on a few occasions that he's got these razor sharp claws almost, right? If needed. And I suppose it's really quite a surgical incision that, he's not really in need of much, I don't know, help after that. Because he's just walking around with a bit of blood on his head, right? As Palm noticed as well. Hell, even Killua noticed that there is something a little bit different about Killua, right? He even asked him, and, Kill just immediately tells him, no, everything's fine. So yeah, it's interesting that almost immediately it is noticeable to someone like Gon as well that there is certainly a bit of shift in his demeanor, in his, I don't know, just day to day or, minute to minute attitude, I suppose. And, leading up to the big breakthrough, I loved how there's these smaller, but really significant lead ups to that breakthrough as well. Other mini breakthroughs, one of them being one of the most incredible scenes of the anime, one of the most incredible, voice acting performances of the anime as well. Killua crying, oh God, that voice of his as, he's just letting it all out. And for the first time, essentially, speaking it out loud. I felt that that's a big deal. That's a big moment for Killua to say it out loud in that capacity, right? He didn't care that Ramon's standing right there and looking at this and listening to this, right? Killua's used to internalizing it, right? Just how much Gon means to him and just how much he doesn't want to lose him. I felt that Killua's voice actor really kind of captured the struggle that this child's been going through for a long time at this point, right? This goes even beyond, Gon. This goes before meeting Gon, right? Growing up as a Zoldyck, right? And not just any Zoldyck, one that's kind of meant to be the next in line to carry the family legacy, right? This is, there's so much on these tiny shoulders. There's stuff like familial pressure and expectation and legacy, and, familial judgment, all of that at play as well. And he's been kind of locked in. He's been chained into that since birth. There's just this idea of, regardless of your own, happiness or your own possible path in life, having to keep up that legacy, the familial legacy, right? These are perhaps extreme examples of it, but, a lot of people can relate to these things. That notion of finding your own path in life, right? Something that's meant to be for you, something that you're meant to be doing, in comparison to kind of having all of it laid out for you already before you're even old enough to, kind of begin to decide and begin to kind of explore that act of self-discovery. And in Killua's case, it's this family legacy, destiny that's been laid out for him. Immense pressure. And again, like I said, on perhaps on a different level, a lot of people can relate to that. Family expectations and the things you want for yourself. And I touched up on this a long time ago, and again, it was in relation to Killua and family expectations and all of that. But yeah, this is there's certainly some cultural differences, right? I feel like people from certain areas or certain places on the planet can really kind of understand Killua's struggle, right? Even if it is presented in quite an extreme case here, this whole family of assassins and all of that, and the training and all of that. But yeah, it's something that a lot of us can kind of understand quite a bit. And a lot of the things that have been put into motion through the Zoldycks, Killua's family, it's essentially, I suppose, from their perspective, to kind of protect their prized asset, right? Their future, the future of the Zoldyck clan. So perhaps it's not really about protecting Killua the person and his dreams and all of that. It's more so about protecting the future face of the Zoldyck clan. Right now, I've touched upon this on a few occasions before. Illumi's really specific brand of love, right? It's a toxic type of love, as Bisky also picked up, and it's like a self-serving, smothering type of love, as she put it, right? It's going to be something really tough to break out of. She wasn't wrong, but Killua did it. He did it. I mean, don't get me wrong. I certainly think that the things that Illumi did to Killua brought on so much mental anguish and irrational fears and anxiety, right? And mental blocks and internal struggles and all of that. It's rough. The treatment is really quite rough. And, I'm sure many think Illumi's a piece of shit for all of this. And, it's not something I could deny or argue against, but I still believe that there is some semblance of brotherly love there, right? Protecting Killua as well. But, protecting in the sense that I know best for you. There's no input from Killua at all. It's all about, hey, you're my brother. I know what's best for you. And that applies to the rest as well, I suppose, right? The rest of the Zoldyck family. Doesn't matter. Killua's input doesn't matter. His dreams and all of that doesn't matter. These notions of friendship and making friends, they think it's just like a phase he'll grow out of, right? Even the family, Silva, specifically, I suppose, in addition to Illumi, it's more so about, I know what's best for you. And, I spoke of the contrast, the transitions back and forth, Gon and Palm, right? And that really specific mood, really calm, really, really, beautiful, the surroundings and all of that. And then, of course, cutting back and forth to, Killua and Rameau, and the really frenzied, anxiety-fueled encounter. I felt that it was so effective in also kind of establishing, once again, they've done it on many occasions, but once again, in this critical moment, the things that, Killua is essentially fighting for, and specifically cutting to Gon, right? As a reminder of the person who is so damn special to Killua. And yeah, you see in that scene, the things he does for Palm, right? Simple gestures, but thoughtful, so thoughtful. It's a reminder of his nature, his kindness, his heart of gold, right? I spoke of, people gravitating to his pull. And I thought it was such a beautiful moment as well that, Gon felt relief that, oh, okay, good. Palm liked it. She really enjoyed this, right? And essentially, it's one of the most beautiful things, perhaps the most beautiful thing and most thoughtful thing anyone's ever done for Palm, right? The tree and, knowing all about those fireflies and the behavior around this time of year. I mean, she's in tears by the end of it. That's how meaningful it was, though it also kind of backfired a bit because Gon made it so special. He gave her so much attention, or, so there's so much thought into everything he does for her here, that, she kind of looked at it as, okay, he's playing with my heart now. He's playing with my emotions now, right? Because, she said, I'm punishing him for playing with my emotions. later on in the second half of that episode. But of course, Gon still does his best to let her down gently and let her know that, okay, right now I don't have the time for this. I've got other things on mind. I've got to get stronger. I've got to fight the person that might be controlling Kite. Yeah, let's forget about that, Gon-kun. You're not fighting anyone anytime soon. But yeah, of course, after all of that, I mean, maybe even I was a little bit naive to expect a bit of a different response from Palm. I thought maybe there could be a bit of a breakthrough for Palm as well at that moment, but no, she immediately kind of gets back to the other Palm, right? And she's not having it. She's just not having it. And perhaps this is a good point to get into some of the other issues I had with this episode. I feel like in the second half of this, Palm is kind of used as comedic relief once again, right? She's this condition of hers, this struggle of hers is kind of used for laughs. I felt, like I said earlier, this could be a preference thing. This could be just a me thing. I don't know. It didn't feel right to me at that moment to all of a sudden, use that for comedic relief again. At this point, I've really kind of taken to this character. I'm really quite interested in Palm's progression and character arc and her growth. I sit here just kind of hoping that, okay, I am going to get these breakthrough moments for Palm as well. And listen, there's not too many female characters that are in the focus in this anime, right? There's a few that come in from time to time, but yeah, for that reason, I'm kind of hoping that that this whole idea of kind of using Palm's struggles and her reactions to things as comedic relief, hopefully it's not something that is going to continue for the long run, right? Hopefully I've seen most of it at this point. But yeah, of course, Nav Sensei came back into it and she immediately shifted to him. And like I said, Nav is an intelligent fellow, of course, so he knows how Palm is. Hell, there's even a part of me that kind of thinks he's using Palm for the ability alone, right? But again, maybe I'm being a little bit harsh. He is a sensei, so of course he's also thinking about helping her, hopefully, right? But he certainly most definitely cares about that ability, right? That's a game changer. 100% a game changer, and it's an incredible ability, and it's all kind of dependent on her really specific blood type, right? I mean, the narrator actually even specifies the blood types of both Gon and Palm Siberia, got a last name, but yeah, her blood, it really kind of had me thinking about the lineage, right? Because Nav Sensei, he did say that it is irreplaceable. Right? She's kind of like a one of a kind, the last of her kind, perhaps. The descendant of a really special clan or family or something. Her blood is the key to this ability. So I'm not sure how much of that looking glass or the bowl and that really ugly mermaid, though she called it cute mermaid. I'm not sure how much of that is actually part of her ability. The actual, I don't know, the physical statue itself. But I'm not even sure how to classify her Nen. I mean, immediate thought, is she also a specialist? I've actually seen quite a few specialists at this point in the anime. So, yeah, sure, maybe she's another specialist. So yeah, in terms of the ability itself, it could be clutch once it really kind of gets into the extermination squad struggle with those ants, the Chimera ants, right? Meruem and his guards and all of that. But I'm sure, like any other really good ability, it's got its limitations or certain specifications and certain aspects that have to be met before it can actually be utilized. Now, she's seen and interacted with Gon and Killua, so maybe that's one of the things that's a part of this, because I'm kind of thinking about Bisky. I'm sure this is how she located Bisky, but how? I'm trying to think, because she didn't meet Bisky or come across Bisky before that, but she might have seen Bisky with Gon and Killua, right? But she has seen and come across Gon and Killua, so maybe that's the crossover at that point. She didn't need to meet Bisky, but she did meet Gon and Killua, so then she was able to kind of look into their past, right? Because it had to be the past to see that, okay, yeah, this is their sensei, the most recent sensei as well, one that really helped him out in Green Island. So yeah, the application of this against the Chimera ants, yeah, could be really quite interesting. Right now, at this point, it's so clear, why exactly these really specific students are a part of this, right? And how Netero kind of brought them all together and against each other, and using these really select students against each other to have these breakthrough moments, because they're really specific, mannerisms and skill sets, and all of that, and applications of each one of these students, right? So you've got Knuckles, really fantastic ability that he might try to use against Cheetu, but good luck trying to land a punch, because if you can't land a punch, you're not going to be able to initiate it. But the thing is, even if he initiates it, it'll be so interesting to see how Cheetu kind of reacts to it, because it's 2-on-1. So if Knuckle is able to make contact and initiate Chapter 7 bankruptcy, at times Cheetu's going to have to fight back and defend himself against Moro as well, right? So that is going to be aura that's being used up not to pay back Knuckle. So it could be an interesting encounter. I'll be honest, I hope Cheetu doesn't die, just like I was hoping that Ramot doesn't die. And listen, I know, this might be really unique to me, that I do like Ramot. I'm not saying that, oh, no, they shouldn't have killed off Ramot. Though I do think he was killed off a little too easily all of a sudden, right? Yes, Killua is a bad motherfucker. And I know it's this immediate depiction of, oh, look how he can actually handle the situation, without that mental block, that physical mental block, right? I get that, right? It's a really specific application of it almost immediately, and depiction of it. But still, I think Ramot, I felt that he was at least formidable enough at this point, especially with Nen, that, he could still fight Killua. But of course, I was completely expecting Killua to beat him down once he, freed himself from all of that psychological, blockage. And how about that one image of the Great Serpent, right, being used as, as Ramot's fear, kind of staring back at him in Killua, right? It's this looming presence and fear. And it's really quite specific as well, right? The snake, right? And Ramot is a rabbit. And I do believe that, snakes are kind of like a natural predator for rabbits as well. And I mean, Ramot's a mix, right? Mix of that really specific bird and a rabbit. But I thought that was such an effective depiction of how Ramot is not feeling after the tables have turned. But yeah, going back to the hand-selected students, after Knuckle, you've got Shoot as well, right? His ability could be quite clutch. At this point, I do believe, it could be one of two possibilities in terms of Kite's location. It could be Shoot's cage, or it could be that, pocket dimension that Nav utilizes, right? Could be one or the other. But yeah, Shoot's abilities are going to be really quite applicable as well. And then, of course, now I've seen Palm's really unique ability as well. And actually, I kind of want to go back to, the final phase of the Hunter exam. The thing is, Kurapika he actually had a really solid read on it, because he did say that he believes that Killua is being really out of character, right? He's behaving really out of character, and he believed that he might be under the influence at the moment, right? He said something along those lines. I'm sure of it. He did. So it's kind of crazy that Kurapika kind of picked up on that really early on as well, right? But also, speaking of the needle, it's a physical needle. I know that much for sure. Killua's holding it. He pulled it out. But Killua also goes into the NGL through the scanners. So even though it is physical, I guess it's a type of, I don't know, I suppose the Nen kind of hit it, right? Illumi's Nen hit it. Surely that's the case, right? Otherwise they would have picked it up, right? It would have been picked up on the scanners. But yeah, it's an incredible scene. It's always going to be one of the most memorable moments of this anime for me, right? I adore Killua. I do. I've really come to like him quite a bit, right? I think it'll be tough to match this character arc, and it's not even finished. There's still more to come for this character arc. But yeah, in this definitive moment, Killua truly understood, what he stands to gain by choosing one option over the other. right? But also, what he stands to lose. And his convictions are so strong in this moment of truth that, it forces him to act in a way that solidifies his new path, right? It's beautifully executed, I think. So yeah, ultimately, even though it is surprising, the actual needle itself, the physical needle, I don't think it cheapens the breakthrough moment. I think it actually kind of functions quite effectively as this just physical manifestation, the symbolism for all of these struggles and him getting over it, right? So it'll be interesting to see how people kind of look at that scene, because a part of me definitely thought, okay, this is the type of scene that people could look at and think, oh, hold on, so that whole time it's just this, and it almost kind of discards all of his struggles and all of that. I don't look at it like that, but I can see how others could look at it, and that ultimately it's just been simplified to this physical needle that's inside of him, inside of his head. The way I read it is that the actual breakthrough happened before he actually pulls out the needle, right? That monumental breakthrough is the reason he's able to do the nearly impossible and pull out the needle, right? Pinpoint it, have the clarity to understand that, oh, okay, so this, right? That breakthrough gave him the clarity. Then, he's able to assess the situation and, pinpoint the needle and pull it out. So I think it functions. I think the whole scene functions really quite effectively. But yeah, I think that should do it for this one, folks. If you enjoyed that, consider dropping a like, consider dropping some comments, give me your thoughts. If you are interested in early access or timer-based full length or full opacity, consider checking out the Patreon page and potentially supporting the channel as well. In the process of doing that, the links are in the description and the pinned comment. Also links to social media if that's your thing. Right then, thank you so much for joining me, folks, and thank you for your time, because time is precious. It really is. And I do hope to see you again soon for episode 95. Until then, take it easy.